The control, I step over, forearm down, head down, hook, grab your thigh, hook his face, tuck your shoulder, roll over, sit up, and sit back.
There it is. Hip roll, Juji Gatame. Can you do just one more at normal speed? Let's look at hip roll Juji Gatame. It is one of the 4 core basic ways of doing Juji Gatame, at least the way we approach it. You know, you gotta have a systematic way of doing things, and this is one of the 4 basics, so it really works quite well. We see this done a lot in any weight class, in any grappling or fighting sport, but you'll see it a lot in women competitors because they have a stronger hip base, and it's for some reason we see a lot of women in judo and sambo do this particular type of roll more than the head roll Juji Gatame. Not that, you know, they can't do the head roll Juji Gatame, it's just the way physiologically they're a bit different, and it works that way. So that's just one of the things. I also see it a lot in heavyweights, and middle and heavyweights. You'll see this a lot too because of the body size. Okay, again, it's the hip strength and the leg size, and it has a lot to do with it. This is very good to catch a guy with if he's high up on his hands. So if he comes up, and these guys who are high parterre, have had a lot of wrestling or whatever background, Mike is giving Derek so many opportunities and holes and handles to use here. Hip roll Juji Gatame is a very good choice of how to roll him into the arm lock. So basically, just go ahead, do one. He's going to do it, catches it, and rolls him over. And again, we call it hip roll because you're rolling in the direction of the bottom guy's hip. He's rolling toward his hip, as opposed to a head roll. Can you demo a head roll Juji Gatame so we can see the difference? Here's the head roll Juji Gatame. See, rolled Mike over his head. Again, the direction we're rolling the guy in. So let's parse it out here a little bit. So we'll do a couple levels. One is pretty basic when Mike's up a little higher, okay? And then the second one, if Mike is lower and Derek tries a head roll and doesn't quite get it and has to revert to a hip roll. So we'll do that too. But right now, let's work this. You want to coach it? Sure. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to start from like the back corner because a lot of times this ends up happening. You're riding the guy trying to get hooks in, and he's trying to brace back up. That's usually where you'll get the parterre stance. So what we're going to do is we realize he's already going to try and come up, but he's giving you a gift with the arms. So instead of trying to full on just grab onto his back and have him step up, what I'm going to do is take advantage of the fact that he's at that angle. So the first thing is we step over and put one hook in, and usually that gives him the misconception that I'm going to put the other hook in. Okay, so we post, and then I'm going to lace, just like we do with the head roll. I'm going to put that hip hook in with my laced leg.
And again, that's his anchor, just like we do the head roll, so it's important to anchor that.
Yep. Okay, head goes down, and now I'm on my forearm, and I'm posting on my head. We grab the arm, and we put that leg around his head. And it's important to squeeze nice and tight on the face, and not keep it straight. That's the number one thing that we see everybody messing up with it, is because if your leg is straight-ish, he's going to be able to fight against it. If I squeeze his head wherever my hips go, he's going to go. So it's like 170 pounds rolling that way with his head, he's going to go that way. Okay?
Yeah, when you're doing that, what he's talking about, when you hook that leg, it's almost like you're doing an osotogari or a reaping action in the throw. Right. You're pointing your toe, and you're kind of squeezing his head with your legs, the bottom top of your legs. So watch Derek again for a second.
Okay, bring that arm through, squish, and away we go. And the idea here is if you're doing it correctly, when you roll over, that foot that's around his face nicely plants onto the mat. Okay? If you're not doing it correctly, your foot either never touches, he pushes it off, or your heel bounces on the mat. Okay?
Notice also when he finishes the roll, Derek comes up onto his buttocks to finish. That's where a lot of people, for some reason the hip roll, they don't finish by coming up enough. Yeah. You'll see that in other variations of Juji Gatame, but not this one. So be sure so when you finish the roll, you come up with your buttocks and you finish and roll back and catch it.
And then again, remember, it doesn't matter what flavor of Juji Gatame you're doing, you know, roll back, head roll, hip roll, Adam's roll. spinning Juji Gatame, they are all the same as spinning Juji Gatame, they're just slightly in different, configurations. This one's like upside down, that's it. Okay, and then you're rolling that way. So finish is always the same. If you finish the same, you control with your legs the same, the move is easy. All the way up and back.
Now you see guys, when he finished also, you notice when he started, he said post with your hand and then your head. Don't just go banging your head on the mat because that'll hurt, okay?
Yeah.
So, but do put your hand down. And you notice how quickly he posted his hand and posted his head. And you can do that, it just comes with practice.
So it's, I like to think of it kind of like a brake, like when you're doing the kata hajime, the lapel is kind of your hand brake. So if you go flying over it too quickly and you're afraid you're going to mash your face in the mat, you can pull on the lapel. Well, in this case, you hold on tight to the arm and you put your non-gripping hand down first, and you can kind of collapse down onto your forearm, and it's easy. And then your head comes down nicely and you can post instead of smashing your face against the mat. Okay, so I've got good control. I step over, forearm down, head down, hook, grab your thigh, hook his face, tuck your shoulder, roll over, sit up, and sit back.
It's a very efficient rolling movement of the Juji Gatame. And just boom, boom, see how he does that. You notice he posted on top of his head, for good balance. And there it is, hip roll, Juji Gatame. Can you do just one more at normal speed? There you go. Let's give that a try, and we'll come back with a different variation of that, okay? Let's go get it. Let's take a look now at the hip roll Juji Gatame as a backup, a plan B, okay? Plan B. Derek likes the head roll Juji Gatame. Mike knows he likes it. Derek's going to attack with this. But watch what happens when Derek starts to put his foot on Mike's head and try to do the head roll. Mike slips it off and knocks the head off. So Derek can now put his leg and foot under Mike's head and do the hip roll, so he can change directions. So watch, you're basically changing directions from a head roll Juji Gatame to a hip roll Juji Gatame. So kind of do one just to kind of go through it, He tries that, and Mike, go get it, slip it off there and do it again. Mike, be a little more aggressive and slip it off this time. Be mean to him. So Mike slipped that off, there you go, and he had to change. See what he did? Sometimes the guy will do that, he'll shut your leg off. And in this case, this is a good plan B. You want to coach it through?
Sure. So this is where coach is always telling us to be patient, okay? This is a perfect example of it. We've got the position. There's no reason to give up just because the head roll isn't materializing. So you've got his arm, you've got your feet where they're supposed to be, you have control of everything you need to. He will get out when he thinks of getting out. Don't let him get out just because whatever move that you're doing isn't working. There's something else there that you can follow up with. And this is probably my perfect example of it. Okay, so when I come through here, I'm moving through and I'm doing everything that I would to get the head roll. Most of the time I'm even wanting the head roll. I pop through like that. I'm trying to get my foot there, and he's doing a good job of pushing my foot off. Another way would be if they actually jack their head up real high. Either way, you're not going to get a head roll with that. It doesn't matter which way he goes. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip that foot in front of his face and squish again. Okay? And then we roll right over.
You notice he changed the direction of the roll. He was going to roll over head roll. Now he's rolling to the direction of Mike's hip instead of the head.
So two things. He's expecting the head push me to continue banging heads with him like two rams. You're pushing my foot off. No, I'm going to go right back and I'm going to force you to head roll and we're going to go that way. But I'm not. I go the opposite direction. I go underneath his face and I roll him this way. So he can't defend both the front of his face, the back of his head, and two different directions. Okay? And as you saw, it's just moving your foot just barely in front. Everything else is the same. So don't give up. Don't sell out for one thing. If it's not working, wait and see how he's reacting and then take advantage of it. In this case, and you'll be surprised how many times this happens. You're trying to head roll him, he's pushing with his head, and you're like, why isn't it working? You're like, oh, okay, he's pushing with his head, I'll just head roll. Okay? So come back through, post with the head, scoop the arm, I'm pushing down super hard, he gets my foot off of his face, I'm gonna hook, and then roll right back.
And that's the first heel. He'll shuck that foot off the face, just like Mike did there. Or, as Derek said earlier, he might pop up and keep you from, because of the strength of his neck and upper body, trying to keep you from rolling him over his head. So Mike, can you do that this time? Yeah. So watch, and this is a common thing too. So Derek's doing the head roll, and Mike pop goes up. There. That happens a lot. He says, "No, I'm not buying that. Okay, I'll take you the other direction." So have that plan B ready. And how you have that plan B ready is, like he talked about, posting on the top of the head and being balanced there. I had a field of vision now. Can you do that again real quick here? When he comes in, he's doing it, again, he's starting his hip roll. Now see, he's on his head, and he's looking. He has a field of vision here. He's seeing what Mike's doing, okay? And he can, and he sees, that's not, Mike's not buying it, it pops up. Okay, I see that, and I can change directions. So don't be in a hurry. Post on that head, balance yourself, and be stable. It's kind of like, it's like a ride in wrestling. You're riding them for control to beat them with whatever move you want to do. Okay. So, all right, let's do one more and then let you practice.